everyone, and welcome to This is the first Dev Insight of the year, isn't it? It feels 2024 is stretched on. It's only been like a month and a half. It feels like it's stretched on long enough that we should have had one. But this is the first Dev Insight, I think, technical of the year, and it's going to be fun. I've got Mifflin, I've got Laramie, I've got JMac sitting in the room with me, and you who are watching this in chat can ask questions for ideally related to the patch, but realistically, I can't police that. You can ask whatever questions you want, but they're more likely to be answered if they're related to this patch.
There are mods in chat.
We'll probably throw them up here. There are mods in chat.
There are mods.
And we'll answer questions about things, probably and presumably, especially some of them about Newt, who is the newest god joining the Battlegrounds. J-Mac, you told me it was number 130.
Yeah.
That's a lot of gods.
It really is, man. That's crazy.
I'm going to be real. I didn't even know that this is a dumb sentence, but it kind of shows me I didn't even think about the fact that there are that many like gods.
Like
just in general.
Like in real life.
Yeah. Like that we could pull from.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I remember like our milestone of hitting like the 100th god. That was with like Yorm, Set, and King Arthur, like that kind of time frame. Like saying God 100, I'm like, that's a lot. And then we're still 30 beyond that at this point. I mean, we just have so many characters in the game. I mean, to be fair, there's so much to pull from in mythology. There's so many different mythos to grab from.
Speaking of things to pull from, though, when talking about Newt specifically, she's got a lot of fun community references, right? Like we were just talking about it before the show, but her voice lines especially are so much fun. They got a lot of cute little community nods in there.
That's actually, there was someone in the chat who was mentioning that they really wanted like the gods and goddesses line, and I asked special permission from Laramie because I've heard it several times. Everyone who has heard it has been really, really happy. But she does say gods and goddesses in some of the voice lines.
That she does. She says that, and there's also a very fun little Easter egg we found from Geb. When he initially had his voice lines recorded, he had a directed taunt for Newt. Like it was recorded 10 plus years ago. And we're using it now. We finally can use it. Geb can finally taunt his wife with this 10-year-old voice.
He can finally talk to his wife.
I mean, it's been so long, you know?
It's been fantastic. We have a question ready, which makes this even easier. And we can see what exactly it is. Will Newt be in Smite 2 on release? And is Ascended Newt cross-gen?
I don't think I can answer that question. I think I am not allowed to at this point in time, but maybe soon you'll find out.
Rod, what are you doing? Setting traps for us? What's going on here?
That was to keep us on our toes.
Get it off the screen now.
It is really fun. I'm kind of curious because I remember like, and this goes to the discussion we've had, I think, on every single one of these, like how long gods will be in production before like this part happens.
Yeah.
And it's been, I feel like so long since it was like, you know what? Newt. And like, I remember the meeting and like, I remember hearing some of the lore, but like the lead up process to like, yes, let's choose Newt. Like what was that like?
It was very interesting, right? Because we were planning along the lines of trying to figure out who was going to be the Big Bang, get it? Cosmic joke, haha, I'm so funny. Anyway, of year 11. And we were like, well, Newt has been a very highly requested community god for a very, very long time. A long, long, long time. And we were like, what is another way to kind of give the community a big win? And again, I kind of talked about this on the show itself, but it was a little bit like, okay, she looks like the Lore Lady. She does a lot of the same things that the Lore Lady did. That's like a fan theory that Newt is the Lore Lady. Screw it. Let's just do it. It's perfect. It's wonderful. It comes together, and it's amazing to really have that big historical reference finally be canonized in the game.
And finally, like you said, get to use 10-year-old voice lines that apparently we had just sitting around and things like that.
Well, I can't believe that, honestly. I'm like, who wrote this? They must have thought that they were going to add Newt 10 years ago at that point.
Geb is like that's not haha in season 8. You know what we're thinking about this.
Geb is like truly OG.
He's super old, man.
Pretty sure he's pre-launch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
because Geb was one of the first few gods that came out whenever I started playing the game. Like whenever I jumped in, it was like remodeled Kali and Chalk. Like those were the two biggest things that hit Smite at that time. And then Geb was shortly after, followed by a Gauntlet of Thebes meta that immediately got removed within 24 hours. It was fun, but now we're 10 years later.
Was a little wild, I'm not gonna lie. But I started playing when Osiris came out. Osiris, Ram, Giannis were like the first three for my tenure. So Geb was even before I started playing Smite. That's so crazy.
That's crazy. And not only that, now we get to this point, and My brain completely stalled, man. I'm gonna be completely real.
We locked eyes and I saw the thought exit.
Yeah, you saw literally like I had the sentence, and then my brain cut it off. No, that's where forethought gets you, right? That's where planning is gonna get you. So that's gonna be something that
we did a lot of that for Newt. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's really pays off, and that's why Lermy during this one was writing voice lines for another god 10 years down the line, very obviously, because we're all thinking that far ahead constantly. Myth, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh, man.
This is an interview question now.
Jeez.
And they usually start with
this interview with
they usually start with 5.
Oh yeah, normally.
Yeah, maybe I own the department. I'll run esports.
Okay.
For Smite 3.
Oh, man.
Your Windows, I mean, that's just how it's supposed to work.
That's a called shot, and if it's true, someone clip this and play it back for Myth on whatever social media is.
I can't wait to see it on Reddit later. I forgot I'm speaking with the authority of a dev right now. Smite 3, 10 years.
I don't think that's how it works.
Yep.
I think we have something else that we can throw up on the screen, though, and we'll move away from Myth specifically. When considering the Nemesis 3 buff, how do you choose between buffing the magnitude of the shield and reducing the volatility of losing the shield to various types of CC?
I got a thesaurus on his desk,
Well,
bro. Ask the question normal. What is that?
How'd you choose between big shield or anti-CC kind of? I think is essentially where it's going.
The counterplay to Nem Shield has always been hard CC. It still is hard CC. The only thing that's changed is that Roots became a hard CC, and that no longer broke, or that started to then break her shield. So we feel like that core mechanic is still very solid, very fair. It's really just that the early game number of that shield was 100, right? That's not very much at any given point of the game, especially when you're only reflecting a portion of that back. It's kind of just there to take a hit instead of really being something that you can fight around as much in the early game specifically. So that's why we decided to buff the specific strength of the shield versus, what counters it.
And I know, since we're on balance, I'm gonna use this and pull it towards other, because I've seen some people asking, when we were looking at Mammon, right, where it's how do you balance some of the data points, and I think this can be relevant for Nemesis as well, data points versus community sentiment, where if somebody says, hey, this god's really, really strong, which I think Myth, very recently, you were very adamant about a god being strong, and then we pulled up, we collectively, Max pulled up numbers, and the opposite was true. They were.
I don't remember what the god was.
He was mid-winning.
Oh, you were saying Kuzenbo. It was
Kuzenbo needs nerfs.
Oh, was it Kuzenbo? Yeah, that's right. That was his. I think you
that.
followed it up with, check me again in 2 patches.
They're going to figure it out. And you know what? I'll get the word out now. You guys need to start playing Kuzenbo right now. You're going to win more, and then I'll have some fire behind me when I can get him nerfed in the future.
Yeah, whenever you come back to me and he's actually got the numbers and the perception, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
But we'll get there. This patch has done
it. Now we know.
Yeah,
wait, this patch is in
this patch show, yeah.
Okay, this
now
patch.
It's time.
So,
now you've got the fire burning, right? So
This is a lot.
we'll group back up on Monday.
This inside has just turned into Mifflin planting a bunch of seeds that eventually later we're gonna sow.
Yeah, you guys are going to. Yeah.
So we've got 10 years in the future.
We as a collective.
Both running departments and
leading balance.
Well, I was are you making? I don't know. We'll see.
But
10 years.
to
10
answer
years.
your
That was a
question,
wild call.
Let's go back 2 steps. I want to answer your question.
Yeah, that's probably smarter.
It's very important, right? Because there's a lot of different places of feedback that we go to look to see whether it's the data, whether it's shrinking that data to have only particular subsets of the player base, whether that's the skill or the match or the rank or the role. There's a lot of different things that we can do to make sure that we are getting accurate data. But there's also going to be the way that the community talks about it and the sentiment around it. So, for instance, for Mammon, we knew that we had to nerf the 3 because there were lots of talks about the 3, and we understood that if we didn't nerf the 3, we nerfed something else, it would probably be a little upsetting for players because the 3 seems to be the point that players are hanging on to the most. But of course, just because of our data and how our damage is spread out, if we pour all of the nerfs into the 3, it's not going to do all that much, especially because it's a dash. So we gotta have to spread it out a little bit, and that'll kind of get the effectiveness spread out for the nerf, so she will get a more effective nerf while also kind of still doing the thing that the community wants us to do.
Nailed it in one. We're just gonna give that a little bit of breathing room for the clip so that we can replay it anytime anyone asks a question like that.
For later.
proverbial anger translator. Lermy's essentially saying, like, we have to trick the community into thinking we're doing what they want, but they don't know what they want, right? So you gotta get around to it and actually adjust everything about a god instead of just one pain point.
Well, and I guess it's more or less what you elaborated on, right? But like sometimes it's like, hey, this thing's bad, but it's like that thing's bad because this thing's bad. That's actually what's making this an issue.
It's tough because players have all kinds of different experiences, right? Mm-hmm. Some players are only arena players and like, well, my mom's not that good. She stinks in arena.
Well, she does.
But I might be a Grandmaster Conquest player who only plays support, and I'm like, this god carries games. What's going on? Like, why are we not nerfing this character? So all kinds of different perspectives come together to kind of find this core. Who is kind of the majority here? What do the majority of players say across the variety of modes, across the variety of skill levels, roles, whatever it might be? And that also has, the most weight kind of in that when it comes to perspective, and then also the data will follow up. Because again, we have characters that feel balanced. Like there are characters like, I mean, they're kind of bad examples in a sense, but like Giannis, King Arthur, Umoja, all very low statistical win rates. But people are like, these characters are either really, really good or they're like balanced and they're chill. And it's like, they have sub 45% win rates. That would normally be red flag, like we got to buff them. They are urgent need of buffs. But if the community thinks they're balanced, we're chilling. We don't have to do anything to them.
And chilling we are. Continue chilling. I like this question because it's thematic for today, which is what Smite God would be your Valentine. It's almost related to the patch in the sense that it's Smite related.
Thanks, chat. You guys are really cooking, fellas.
So I'm going to start with JMac because you haven't said anything long enough.
Whoa, hold on. Wait, I'm being put on the spot here. Am I choosing who my Smite God Valentine would be?
I was so certain JMac was to say I've got a partner.
I actually
don't ask me that. I got a partner.
I thought he was going to be like, this god.
Oh, really?
But I guess there are 130 gods.
There are 130 gods.
Yeah.
I do have a partner, but if I had to have a Smite Valentine, it's probably going to be either Nox or Nemesis.
He's got a type. Man's got a type.
Called shot. There you go. Nox or Nemesis.
Easy go-to.
Larry, you looked like you were dreading the question.
Well, here's the thing. I'm the only one that's single at this table, so.
You can pass on the question if you want.
Oh, no, I answered the question. The answer is Tsukiyomi. There you go.
There you go.
No, that checks out for sure. Where's Susano on that list?
He's like fourth.
I knew he was top 5.
Fourth, okay.
I knew he was top 5.
He has to skip past like Achilles and Lancelot, but then
Really? Oh, you know what?
I can see Lancelot, yeah, for sure. A lot of people like Lancelot in the community. Mifflin.
Yeah, I was gonna say you seemed like you were trying to dodge there by redirecting the question.
Isn't there like a Terra skin where she's like got bare hands or something?
She does have like where she's wearing a bear pelt.
Yeah, that's the one.
That specific one
in particular, or I don't know, Tsukiyomi as well. I got to give Lermy some competition.
I'm going to be honest, I forgot the original question and was thinking about favorite gods and not whatever Valentine.
Valentine,
was
yeah.
Valentine?
Yeah, your Valentine would be.
Well, I'm the host. I don't have to answer that. Is there a date for PTS? Someone wants to know. I don't know how that works.
Theoretically, as far as I understand it, it is possible that it will be today. It usually is the day of the patch notes show, but depending on what's going on in the back end, it may be sooner or later. You never know. Could be right now. It's going to depend on what's going on the Twitterverse. So make sure you're checking out there. They will let you know when PTS is live. So keep your eyes on Twitter. They'll give you the exact time.
Maybe it's up right now. Check Steam.
Oh, it's live right now. We just got a heads up.
We got the thumbs up from Isaiah.
That was impressive. That was the so there you go.
There you go.
Go play. Watch this on one monitor. Go play PTS on the other.
Yeah,
monitor.
I want to see the nude plays. Let me see the Skyfalls you guys are hitting.
That's the ultimate, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to make sure. I'm still as well
like immediately ran through I've only played one game of her up to this point. I was like, which one is that?
I was thinking James Bond for some reason. Is that a movie? Is that James Bond?
I think Sky was one of the more recent Craig James Bond movies.
Yeah, we were discussing names for it, and we were like, we want this kind of catchy one word, and there were a lot of things that passed through. We had what's it called? Event Horizon was another one that passed by. That ended up being an achievement name for her. There was also there's one word that I'm forgetting. I have it in my Slack. I literally was messaging one of the programmers that worked on her achievements. I was like, Singularity was the other one. That's what it was. I was like, it could be Singularity or Skyfall. Which one do you like better? And we picked Skyfall.
I'm a big fan of the abilities that in their name tell you what happens. Because the sky falls. That's it. That's what's going to happen right here. And you got it. Landfall doesn't make as much sense. The land's not falling. In fact, if I'm thinking about it, it's coming out of the ground.
It pulls it up and then it does fall down. But yeah, it's the secondary.
Suppress the insolent? I don't even know what that means, bro. There's like 2 words in there.
Thesaurus guy wrote
Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Like, what's going on here?
I feel like we got a lot of those in Newt's kit though, because she's got Convergence, she's got Crashing Comet, she's got Warp.
Yeah.
All of those are like literally what they
Warp
do.
It was you, by the way. The Warp, right? So, because it's one of those things, like when we have dashes in Smite, some of the ones that are, hey, this is jumping over walls. Hers is shorter than a lot of the others. That being said, I've learned, and it will be forever ingrained in my mind, that it is large enough to get through a Ymir wall.
Yes.
Because Mifflin, in one of the playtests, like one of the first times you're playing her, I got this sick wall. I was so proud of it. And then I just watched you disappear, and this is before I had read anything about it. Like I was not paying attention when we did the rundown, which is on me. And I saw you go through it, and I felt really bad. And now I'm never gonna forget about that. So.
It's just long enough. It's very very close.
It's such a short dash. It really is.
Isn't it same range as Merlin's?
It's shorter than Merlin.
Shorter than Merlin.
Shorter than Merlin. Yeah.
Wow, and that's already a very
quite a
short
lot.
range.
I want to say Merlin is 30.
I thought it was like 25, but
It might be 25 or 30. But anyway, hers is 15. So keep that in mind. It's very small.
But it is enough to get over a Ymir wall.
Yes.
Maybe literally just enough to get over a Ymir wall, but it is enough. I think we have another question before I pull this. So I want to see what we have versus what I was going to ask, which is how much data does the team have during balancing beyond just win rate and damage? Do you see individual ability, hit rate, and damage, etc.?
So I don't know exactly. So this is just from what I understand from our goated data guy, Max, or Innocent Rabbit. For those of you that like to go on the YouTubes, make sure to drop a sub, ring the bell, all that good stuff for him. Has very fun videos. But anyway, he has told me in the past that he's able to see kind of like a snapshot of timelines. So essentially we can see how much damage, how much mitigation, etc. has occurred by a particular point in the game. He's also got match lobby stats, of course, that's coming in. He's got pick rates, win rates, ban rates, and can spread them out throughout different MMR ranges, etc. And there's a lot of that kind of like niche, kind of very granular stats that you wouldn't normally look at. Like, for instance, we can determine super easily, we can say like, okay, in this patch, Hades needs a buff. Why is Hades bad? And then Max will go, okay, well, in the late game, he starts to fall off on damage. Like maybe compared to mages or soul laners, he's like second in the early game. And he's like got an extremely good early game. And then all of a sudden, you get to 25 minutes and he's dead last or something like that. That's just an example, right? That's not the actual stats that we're looking at, but that's kind of the way that we can see, okay, if he's dead last in damage, but he was so good in the early game, there's something off here. We gotta make a specific direction to get closer to him being towards the middle of the pack to help him out there. So it's okay for gods to have strengths and weaknesses, but we don't want them to be sitting at the bottom or very, very close to the bottom. And of course, some gods got to sit there, right? But that's just the nature of balance. Every god's going to be at the top or the bottom of something eventually. So we want to just kind of make sure that that is shuffling through at a manner that feels appropriate for everyone.
And even speaking to that, I had heard maybe conversation around, well, maybe a god's dying too much at the late game. So you can look at survivability as an option, or damage fall off, as you said, or things along those lines. Maybe their objective damage is a little bit low, things like that. But really the most impressive thing is where you can choose to pull that data from. Sometimes you want to isolate data from casual conquest, or maybe you want it from a certain MMR range. There will be huge delineations and distinctions between a Diamond 5 lobby and a Grandmaster's lobby on god effectiveness. For example, I know for a fact that casual players are very frustrated with gods like Loki. Good luck getting a win on Loki in a 3,000 MMR lobby, right? So there's a lot of data you can pull from and parse and, I suppose, digest in certain ways.
That's, I think, my favorite thing about it's something like I tried to pull for SPL stuff, and by I mean I asked Zayden to pull it for me, the same way that we would ask Max or Innocent Rabbit, however you want to refer to him, to pull it, where it's just like, hey, getting more and more in depth. And like I actually did at one point ask, can we get everyone's like basic attack accuracy for SPL?
That'd be so funny. Oh my goodness.
I think there were two things that came up. One was that we only register when it's hit, not when it's fired. And so for at least for SPL on the damage server, because that's how, or the damage combat log, that's what it's called. And so that didn't work. But also it was like, hey, this might take like legitimately 6 weeks to try and pull all of that, because we'd have to go through everything. starting all over again. Might be easier for something like, hey, what happened yesterday? But I still imagine that would take super long time. Chat, I want to ask you a question because I'm curious if this is like a bit and I'm not a part of it. I have seen so many mentions about Cupid. And I don't know if it's like is it just like it's Valentine's Day, so we're talking about it?
It is Valentine's Day.
Or is it like, is there like a joke that's happening? Is there something I'm supposed to know other than Valentine's Day?
I'm gonna
assume it's just Valentine's Day.
There was a bit during the show about Ishtar, and I guess it's just moved away from Ishtar to now Cupid. I think it's
just a bit about Ishtar.
Just people wanting Ishtar changes or something like that. I don't fully know. I just saw Ishtar's name popping up a lot during at least the main part of the show.
Well, she did okay, I think, during Worlds, right? And she's like middle of the road.
Right. She was like a top 3, top 4 pick.
I misread Vile's message and I thought it said Buff Gore Cupid chat has spoken, like he was talking to I don't know.
He was speaking to Cupid.
To make me stronger.
Oh.
Yeah, or I guess maybe more physically appealing. That'd be kind of nice, actually. Yo, Cupid, what up, bro?
When I buff the gods, right, I call them up on the phone and I say, hey, you're allowed to do 5 more damage now, just so you know. You can if you want.
You call the gods themselves.
Yeah,
physically.
That's crazy.
You got Tsukiyomi's number?
I got all of them.
That list of like who's gonna be a Valentine was literally just like Lermy's like, I'm just gonna go home and start cold calling.
Goodness.
I guess because they keep mentioning, I'm gonna ignore the Cupid part, but just in general, when you're looking at like, I know we have data and stuff that comes up, but like otherwise, is there ever like a period where you're just like, you know what, this god hasn't seen a change in a while? Like where does that come from in some of the most like isolated incidents?
Sometimes that'll come up, right? But the general gist of things is that we try to kind of evenly distribute the exciting new things per patch, if that makes sense.
Sorry, someone said Gore ignoring Cupid is part of the problem.
I just played Cupid the other night. He was real fun.
I have to play more Cupid as well because he's one of the last hunters that I don't have a star on. So Cupid's on my list of gods to spam. So.
Wait.
Y'all got stars.
You're counting stars?
Yeah.
How many stars do you have?
I have, so there's 130 gods now. Newt's not out yet, but I have 79 out of 130 gods with a star on them.
Right.
So we're like a little over half.
That's just 79 with at least one star.
How many have more than
I
one?
have?
Do you know?
I want to say like 20.
Do we have account playtime? Has anyone played more Smite than you?
Oh, there's lots of people. There's plenty of people. I could name at least 20 people.
Okay, give me 2.
Shot.
Who?
Oh yeah, that's a good
Solar
point.
Troll?
Yeah.
That guy.
that guy doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
He doesn't count.
That dude.
He doesn't count.
That's on me for setting the bar real low. I kind of forgot how much.
Right now. He's probably watching this in queue.
I play a lot of Smite, but there are lots of people that play more than me.
They play a lot of Smite too.
Sam might have more game time than you on live on his PTS. Like he's playing that much Smite.
I have over 3,000 hours on PTS and on the dev server.
Word.
That's testing. That's me being in QA for a year.
This feels like the same when the pro players would put up. Yeah, but look at our custom game time. Like,
oh, dude, my custom
it's a save.
That's like it was for me in like spectate time. Like when we were doing the amateur stuff, like we had to do a lot of our own spectating. So it's like, yeah, you see, it shows I've got like 5,000 hours on the client, but like probably 2,500 of that was at least just watching games as opposed to actually playing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's very funny that I look at my Steam games, like my most played Steam games, and it's Smite. The Smite main client has like 9,000 hours. Then it's like 4,000 on the dev client, 3,000 on the PTS client, and then 200 in Skype. I played basically only Smite.
I think I only have like one other game over 1,000 hours on Steam, and that's Ark. That's about it. Outside of that, it is Smite, Ark, and then everything else at like 200 or less.
Yeah, we play a lot of Smite here.
It's a lot of
Or test
you know
a lot
what?
of Smite. Work on Smite a lot.
yeah, I was gonna say you're just bringing. Well, never mind. I'm not gonna say the thing I was gonna say because that makes it sound a lot worse. You're really passionate about the game. That's the better way to word it.
Yeah.
Chat, please ask us some questions.
Yes, please ask some questions
Please. We're waffling out here.
about the patch.
I feel like I'm at like a Shoney's right now.
You know what?
There's so much waffling.
Do you guys have any questions about Newt?
Ask some Newt questions, guys.
I will also say I'll give some appreciation that Newt's abilities are very easy to say and they're like shorthand. Like
You're so welcome.
As a caster, like the easiest thing is being able to say, what
X cat. All right.
That's not to say I'll never.
Community member.
That's not to say I'll never come back. No, community member.
Community
specialist.
That's it.
Community specialist.
and member. We're all part of this.
We are all community members.
true.
But as somebody who has casted the game professionally,
Sorry, I didn't mean to make you qualify yourself.
As somebody who has technically not casted the game in the least since SWC has ended. No.
Yeah.
But for people who are going to be continuing casting with the community and such like that, I know that like one of the biggest things is being able to very easily have abilities that flow off. And so having a god like Newt with very easy to say abilities, as Gore said, essentially saying what the ability does, Comet Crash or Crash and Comet and Skyfall, things like that. It makes it very easy for us Share One dumb brains to go, yeah, I say the ability, that's exactly what it does. So
no, some of them are intentionally mean, like Soul's Kit, Supernova, and what's the other one? Stellar Burst or something?
Yeah. Stellar Burst.
Which one's which? You know, which one's which?
Yeah.
The Stellar Burst is the one that bursts out and comes back in.
Right.
And then Supernova is, you know, your bow, 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 bow.
Yeah. That's how I think about it.
No one's forgetting Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, though.
I have.
Who could
already.
forget?
You've got a good point. When I pull up ability names, Suppress the Insolent and Whirlwind of Rage and Steel are on the very top of the list. So maybe we need to get.
Listen, the one that I have a lot of trouble remembering is Vulcan's ult.
Earthshaker. He shakes the earth when it crashes down, where Hercules breaks the earth to pick people up. Earthbreaker.
We have Shaker and Breaker.
We have Earthbreaker, Earthshaker, Ferocious Roar, and Furious
Roar. That should
Roar.
all be illegal.
Yeah.
Overload and Overflow.
Yeah. And I'm thinking,
kinds of fun.
balance changes are cool. What if we just do rename passes? Like, who's that gonna hurt?
What if I give Smite?
I'll do it for you. It's so easy, I bet.
Now, what we'll do, we'll open up Smite and we'll give it to like a bunch of first and second graders, and they can rename the ability what they want to name it, and we'll just go from there.
Change a text box, right?
Yeah, you just open Control F.
There's no
find and replace.
There's no Control F.
Yeah, you just find and replace. Laramie, I've worked in Google Docs before.
Mm-hmm. It's not Google Docs, so sorry.
It's the DB, bro.
Yeah, no, you guys are learning. You're learning what I have to go through on a daily basis.
You call it the DB reminds me of how like Yu-Gi-Oh changed it to the GY for the graveyard because they just had to fit more text on the card, so they had to shorten everything.
I think we got some questions.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The question is what it is. Will Geb and Newt have some special voice interactions?
Yeah.
Knowing Laramie, I hope so.
They do. They have direct taunts versus each other. It's actually very funny. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but Geb's is 10 years old. And Newt's is brand new, but it's very cute. It actually is one of the lines that played during her gameplay trailer. She says something like along the lines of like, she's like, I wish it didn't have to be this way, or like, I wish I could save everyone. It's very sad when Newt kills Geb, and when Geb kills Newt, he says, Newt, no.
Run that back again, please.
Newt, no.
Okay.
There are times where I really just want,
Wow.
and like for April Fool's Day patch, I really just want like, hey, we replaced all the sound effects with like just in like random people going like doing, donk, and stuff like that. Like I want
for Mama
I want that.
When Mama Brigitte was in development, one of the FX artists was trying to temp in like a place for them to hook up an FX to, and instead of like putting in an actual audio cue from a different god as we usually would do in a work in progress environment, he just said, hey, hello. So anytime you clicked on Mama Brigitte, she would go, hey, hello, and I would get jump scared because I'd be sitting in Discord and this random voice of the FX artist would come in, and I'd check my Discord and I'd go, nope, okay, it's just Mama Brigitte again going crazy. Making me lose my mind.
Nice.
Very funny. Good times.
Good times.
Do we happen to know what Geb's interactive line with Newt is? Is it just the Newt no? Like that's the only one? Or,
okay. No, we did it.
Well, I didn't know.
Hold on, one more time?
No.
Newt, no.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Mac, yeah.
All right. Got the clarity. We're good now.
I think we have a second one that was queued up. We can move to that, which is will /4v4 be the entire duration of this patch or only during designated times?
So we're still determining exactly what is going to be best moving forward for us to get the best data on what you guys are looking for in terms of, you know, how often you want to be playing it. Because we understand that just out of the blue replacing a mode is going to be very scary for a lot of people, especially if that's like the main mode that they play, especially if they're like parties and they go into it and all of a sudden you're losing a member of your party. That's really something that we want to keep in mind. So please let us know if this is something that you want to have on all the time for a patch, if this is something that you want to really try, if you're excited about this, please let us know, because we will put it on for longer if that's something that you guys want to do. But at this point, we're still determining exactly how long we want to do it for and how often.
And vote with your playtime. If it's something you enjoy, play a lot of it. We can look at that. We see that and we say, well, if more players are now playing this, well, it's pretty clear that you guys like it.
Yeah.
Post on social media, post on Reddit. That's part of what I do now moving over to community is looking through all of the stuff that has to kind of pop up on socials and really start passing that feedback in.
J-Mac has read literally every single post since he has switched positions. It's
Isn't
insane.
it fun?
It's so much fun. I will. So this is a small spoiler.
I heard
for,
a hint of pain in there.
So this is actually a small spoiler for what's going to be happening Friday when we're on the show, and we did
the authority to spoil things.
We got clip submission for stuff that's going to be happening on Friday, and I actually pulled one of those from the Reddit. So if you're posting things on Reddit, you might just end up on a show at some point.
And which Reddits are you checking out?
I'm checking the Smite Reddit, so r/Smite. And I also still watch r/SmitePro, but there's not nearly as much that goes up on there. But r/Smite.
Like that. Well,
no, I'm just
gone for 1 week.
No, I'm just saying that like there's not much esports going. Like right now on the SmitePro, they're talking about like the Mount Rushmore of each of the different roles out there right now, which is kind of cool to see the interaction, see what people are voting with. But outside of that, they had the Bobby tournament that just happened recently. There was a lot of positive around that one. I think he just released the video with the highlights on that one. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the community, and we're making sure just to kind of keep eyes on that.
All right, so who wins? 1 fire giant-sized Cupid or 10 Cupid-sized fire giants?
10 Cupid-sized fire giants.
He's already like.
Are they equal strength at this point? I mean, like.
No, you gotta.
I don't know. There's a look. I'm just
like what's the strength of this?
He's got crit. That's all that matters.
Yeah, if you have 10 little like Cupids.
Well, 1 late game Cupid can already do a lot of damage to 1 big fire.
Not nearly at the
Solo's fire giant.
Well, not anymore because of the sustain nerf that came through.
Right.
So without the sustain nerf, I don't know. Maybe the 1 fire giant. No, I think 10 again still wins because there's just 10 of them critting.
Nah, I mean if they're Cupid size, I'm throwing 1 roundhouse and I'm taking out 5 with the first.
Isn't the Cupid-sized fire giant just the minion that Surtur like calls out essentially? That's
That is
just
a Cupid-sized.
that's a Cupid-sized fire giant.
And I crush those into dust.
1 crit, they're gone.
And they're only there for like 4 seconds, man.
That's right. 3 seconds if I'm there because 1 punch.
I've been scrolled up so far that I didn't notice when we were talking about names. Billy had mentioned Through Space and Time versus Through Time and Space.
Different games. Different games doesn't
But that's
matter.
but I cast both of them.
That's on you, bro.
And the character is Janus and Genos. Like
Different
it's
games
that
doesn't
it's
matter.
that similar.
That was a fun time, and to the point where I would go home from broadcast chat. This is a good little peek behind the corner, and Katie would tell me, "By the way, you called it the wrong name today." And I wouldn't even have to question it.
Oh, that's
I'd know what ability she was talking about. She'd be like, "Yeah, so it's through." When I get put on the spot, I can't remember. It's Through Space and Time.
Through Space and Time is Smite.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Through the cosmos. Who's through the cosmos?
That's right.
That's
I'm not gonna say. I almost.
Nope.
If he doesn't get it, I've got it. But
I got it, bro.
Please let J-Mac say it. He wants to say it. So J-Mac, I got it, but please feel free.
you should know.
Yeah, like I know.
It's okay.
Hey, I know. I just want to make sure that you know. Like so. Like you should say
so
it.
who is it, folks? Who is it?
It's Ratatosker.
It is Rattata.
Oh yeah, because he gets up on. That should be like, hey, he jumps on branches.
Right.
Can you tell it's been a while since we've done a broadcast?
Through the birch tree.
If you're wondering, when you put us in a meeting like this also starts to happen after a certain period of time, and I'm sure for Lermy it's very frustrating because Lermy wants to get stuff
It's familiar to me. I do recall having some brainstorming meetings go a couple different directions. I do recall specifically Martikaros was a good one where you had a bit. I do remember this bit.
I have a bit?
Yeah, no, this is great.
I have a bit?
Do you remember specifically
bit?
for Marty?
No, I don't
When you
know what you're
kept
talking
pitching abilities.
about. Oh, God. Am I going to have a job after this show?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, please.
Yes. So the bit was, okay, so he's a lion, right? Well, why doesn't he do a melodious roar?
Oh.
And you kept coming up with different...
No, you need to have the melodious, because in canon, whatever that monster is called, what is he? He's
Manticore.
Yeah, they roar melodiously to call in their prey. They're kind of like mermaids.
Sirens?
Like sirens.
We're sirens, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, melodious roar. That'd be sick, yeah.
And you know what? We'd be having a real different conversation right now if he had a melodious roar.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, kind of would operate similarly to like Apollo's too. So maybe that's a little lame. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Who cares? What goes into making the ult the cherry on top for a character?
Oh, it really depends on what the character does, right? Because for some characters, like Newt's ultimate is kind of like, it is like the cherry on top, right? But for other characters, it's a very integral part of their kit. Like one example that I can think of is like, for instance, like the stance shifters, like they need to have that ultimate the way that it is, or else they're just not going to function. other characters like King Arthur, you build up the energy in your whole kit to like be able to do the really cool ultimate at the end. Newt, it doesn't necessarily have a big thing to do with your kit, but it's still really fun and really, really cool. And that's what matters the most when you design an ultimate, is that you want to have that big like power play moment and feel as the player that you are doing something really, really cool. And you feel like this is my time to do my thing and go crazy. And that's what most of them do.
Has there ever been a point where you were working on a different ability and thought this is too cool for a regular ability and had to move it to an ult?
It happened with Ishtar. It was Ishtar.
Nice. I'm so glad that question landed, bro.
It happens a lot, actually.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot about this.
Ishtar's ult was originally going to be her 2, and they were like, well, we're not like in love with any of these ultimate pitches that we had. Like, let's go back to the drawing board a little bit. And I'm like, well, I do really like this ability. It wasn't finding a home in the current like kit in terms of like the normal like moment to moment flow. But what if we like zhuzhed it up a bit and made it an ultimate? And then it just happened. It was cool.
Is a stance switcher born preemptively decision like, yes, this is going to be a stance switcher, or hey, we've got a lot of ideas for normal abilities and we can't think of an ult, so let's just give them.
I'm trying to think of like an example that I would know, because I started working on Smite in 2020.
There haven't been a lot of stance switches.
Yeah, they're really hard to make.
Yeah.
Tiamat,
because they've got like 6 abilities.
And every skin is 2 skins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiamat was like the one that I can recall. I was not on the design team at that point, so I didn't really have any insider info, and I was really only there for her like end stage when she was getting tested, because I joined right before Danzaburo released and right after Tsukiyomi released. So when Danza released, Tiamat was coming to a close. And yeah, I don't really understand how it got to be the way that it did personally. Clumsy would be the one to ask on that. I'm sure he has a great idea for that of how they actually got there. But I think in general, I mean, Clumsy is known for this. He's known for the very complicated, many ability kits. He's got Merlin. He's got Tiamat. He's got, a lot of other characters that do things like that, especially with like Shiva, who has the multiple dances. He's always got to have.
I'd argue he's been dethroned.
Has he been dethroned?
I mean, like, can we talk about Maui for a second?
Okay, Maui still has 4 abilities, though.
Yeah, and all 4 of them do 6 things.
Okay, not quite the same, but I see what you're getting at.
I had one question on Newt's ultimate. What was kind of the path along her ultimate to go from like banishing another, self-banishing another god, throwing up into the sky for a long duration? But what kind of led to the decision to make it to where she now returns to the same point compared to other self-banished style gods where they can still kind of free roam around? Is it just because so many other gods did that and there was frustration on it?
A lot of lessons from Marty.
Oh, okay.
Let's
fair.
just say that. I think I could end it there.
Mic drop.
No, I think that's easy.
Really insensitive question, J-Mac. Leave the questions to chat.
You know what? That's right. It's my job to listen to and look at what the community has to say and kind of push that forward. So community, say some more things so I can push that along.
Chat, thank you for on-the-job training. We have a question, which hopefully I'm wondering if it's going to be the one that I was going to pull up. I think that's the last one.
Yeah.
Here's the new one. Follow up to the ult. This is exactly what I was going to ask. Has there ever been a god where you have the ult conceptualized first and had to work backwards from there? And this can be, I guess, both for like in kit or maybe even like god decision. Like, yeah, I really want this to happen in the game. Therefore, this guy's got to be a god now.
I'm trying to think about like ults. I can think about not ultimates. Like Clean is a really good example of we wanted to do something cool with walls, and like a ghost lady makes sense to do that with, right? Any gods that I've worked on have been like that. No, not that I can think of that I recall from that process. The ult is usually like, again, kind of like we said, the cherry on top, where it's like we have cool ability ideas. Let's find a really cool way to make this character do the big epic thing that they want to like have their moment to do. I think with Charon might be the one where it came the earliest, where I was like, okay, I want to just do a gigantic tsunami, and that would be freaking cool. He's got the river Styx. Let's make it the river Styx. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was maybe the one that came the earliest in the iteration process that I was like, I feel good about this, like theming. But other than that, it was a little bit difficult. With Newt specifically, we were like, we always knew we wanted to do a go up in the sky ultimate. She's the goddess of the sky. She's got to go up in the air. That just felt like that was hook, line, and sinker, like, boom, that's what we want. She's the sky, right? So why would she not go up into the sky? What she actually did in the sky, that was the hard part.
Yeah. We know she's going up there. And eventually she's coming back down.
Yeah. And we felt like, again, there was a lot of community sentiment around the previous sky ultimates that we had Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So we wanted to make sure that whatever this design was, it was very fair and had some counterplay to it, because we understood a lot of the challenges that come with playing against those characters, and especially in playtests and things like that. We were very, very diligent about checking, did you guys feel like this was fair? Was this an interaction that you felt okay with? Was anything about this like really challenging to deal with? Because we are coming at it from both angles, right? We want Newt to feel really good, but we also want her to be fair. And they're contrasting ideas, right? Because like the closer that you get to unfair, the better that she feels, right? Because if she's just like smacking people around, CCing them for 10 years, like she's gonna feel awesome. She's gonna feel broken and OP and on top of the world, right? But then everyone else is like, I can't do anything. I can't fight against her. So there's like a very, very, sometimes it's hard to hit midpoint of like everything feels great, everything is fair. I had a good enough chance to react to this. This damage wasn't insane. The CC effect wasn't insane, and like the Newt player felt awesome doing it. So like all of that combined together. Is kind of where like we try to land. It's not always successful, as you know, will happen from time to time. But I think in general, design like on paper is a lot easier to rationalize with than design in practice.
Yeah. With the general pipeline of the guide, it starts at the brainstorm phase, and then you eventually kind of put together some mock kits to try and figure out what you want to do, and then eventually you kind of lock in thing. Was there an ability for Newt that you really wanted to be on this guide, but it didn't get to make it into the final kit?
Ooh, I want to say yes. I had a feeling there was an ability that I really liked that I didn't get to do. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head though. It definitely happened though in previous iterations where I've gone back and been like, hey, this ability didn't make it for, I can't remember exactly, but let me just say like Ishtar is like an example of something like that I've worked on. This ability didn't make it on Ishtar. Working on another hunter. Maybe we throw this on here? What do we think? Does it make sense, like, in the new context of the character? Because obviously, I mean, the 3 hunters that I've worked on have very, very different contexts between Ishtar, Newt, and Martikaros. One's a manticore. Another is this kind of, like, badass warrior lady. And then the other one's just, like, regal, like, celestial goddess. So they all have very different vibes. But maybe we can repurpose the theming of the ability to work with kind of the mechanics of it. Sometimes we can't. But there's definitely one on Newt that I can recall that I was like, man, I wish we had been able to use that, but it just didn't make sense in the context.
And J-Mac, you helped answer 2 of the meme questions I was going to pull up, which was one saying was, can we let J-Mac ask his questions? And the other was, J-Mac, what questions do you have? And there you go. That's the questions that J-Mac has.
That's a question.
Speaking of Celestial and Regal, how soon in the process was it like, this is going to be Lore Lady's voice?
Almost right away. Like, as soon as we had confirmation that we could do it, and we heard from Suhaila that she was down, it was like, let's do it then. Why not? Everything's coming into place. We want to do this character. We want it to be voiced by the Lore Lady, and we got confirmation. Let's do it.
Did she have
really like that.
Did she have the primary hand in like assisting to write the voice pack? Like, I know that like a lot of the design team and people around the surrounding design kind of write the voice packs for it. Did she have a much heavier hand in it, considering she's been the Lore Lady for such a long time?
She didn't write the script, but we sat in a voice recording session, and there were some lines that she gave me feedback on that was like, oh, I kind of want to say it like this, or this feels a little bit more right, where it'd be like rearranging words, or maybe the like tone of a certain line would be a little bit different in how she wanted to deliver it versus like how I had imagined it, which like by all means, like she is the character, right? So I want her to still feel like this is her character, even though it's me writing the lines, you know what I mean? So she definitely did some adjustments to the lines to be better in character, but I did write the majority of like making sure that the character was saying all the lines that she needed to say.
And it's really weird because I feel like that's something that you would hear with insert any long-standing voice actor in a role they've played for a long time, but like we don't have that a lot of, because like most of the time it's like, hey, come in, be the new god, and then you might be this skin, like you will come back, but like it's not like you're just like the recurring this guy. Lore Lady's like literally I think the only person who could know her character that well, which is really impressive. Also, chat, I yes, all of you are making the Newt spell jokes, like we get it. Yeah. Keep them. They keep asking why we're not making them.
She makes a joke.
So this
like
is
that.
me. Yeah, this is me acknowledging it.
I felt bad.
Who wrote the joke?
Who wrote it?
It's me.
Okay, all right.
It's really funny though.
It's Newt, not Nut. I'm not sure why the mortals find that so amusing.
I remember when you showed me that.
That is pretty good, actually.
Because the delivery on it is also really good.
She's very matter of fact about it. She's genuinely confused why they think the word Newt is funny and Nut is funny.
Someone said, I don't get the joke. Can you explain it?
I've had way too much media training. I won't even.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
The fact that I mentioned it at all is honestly bad on me.
It.
Guys, my skin is crawling.
Yeah. So instead, I can ask this. Lermy specifically, question targeted at you. Did Thoth get nerfed because the Thoth ult killed you in Arena the other week?
I'm going to probably say no because I played so many arenas.
I was going to say, do you even remember this one?
Together, to be honest.
You're the 50,000 hours Lermy was talking about a minute ago?
It's a lot of hours, but I also play a lot of Arena. Arena is like the main mode that I grind a lot. I play basically everything, but a lot of Arena. So firstly, I don't remember which arena that was. And secondly, it's not up to me. There's a lot of people making these decisions and a lot of data that goes into it. So I may have an opinion, and my opinion, may hold some amount of weight or get a conversation started, but it never goes past without having a variety of other forms of approval. So it's not like it's just me making these decisions.
Here's a question that is unique to, I think, you at this table. Maybe both of you might be able to weigh in, but Lermy specifically because you have all of the diamonds in the world. What's the best mode for that? Is it Arena? Like, is Arena the best one to like just grind them up?
It depends, because if you're asking me like genuinely, like you want to know the actual secret strats, it's play co-op until rank 4, because you get worshippers up until rank 4. So sometimes I just throw on a little podcast and just play a bunch of co-ops and, listen to my podcast, play against the bots, get to rank 4, save the mental a little bit of trouble. And then, depending on who I'm playing with, how many people I'm playing with, it'll either be Joust or Arena.
What I love, this is like an itemized revelation to me.
You don't get 130 diamonds without trying, okay?
That's literally what I was like. The minute you started with co-op, I'm like, oh yeah.
I didn't even realize that co-op got you to a level. I thought you stopped at rank 1 or 2 with co-op.
Level 4.
I didn't even know I forgot co-op was a thing.
Co-op is legitimate fun. When you get some allies that you can tell are really trying, they're really trying to learn the game.
You run into a really cool variety of people though, which I think is really awesome. They'll go, wait, I know you, or they'll say that in normal games too. But you can actually kind of have
about it.
See, I hate it when you recognize me in game because I'm like, nah, bro, I don't no expectations. Pretend I'm a rando.
I go Mifflin ? I say only if we win.
Oh, that's a better response. And as such, Mifflin and JMac. For a moment, you can think any last questions that you might have. And while you're thinking about that, Lermy, is there anything about this patch that you just haven't been able to say that you really wanted to say?
Dude, I'm just so excited to play Newt. She has been a character that I've been really excited about for a long time, so I'm so happy she gets to finally be here.
Chat, please help me.
Well, you can just say no.
Chat, come on. We can get one more.
I also really do think that there's a lot of fun balance in this patch. The Cerberus change is really exciting to me. And I'm really excited to just keep doing more exciting changes like that in the future. And I hope that we can keep making, these older gods. Oh my God, it makes me feel so old when I say Cerb is old, but he's at least 5 years old now.
Which is 23?
I'm 26. Thank you.
Cerb was
on purpose? Oh my goodness.
Wait, Cerb was last got a season 3 going into season 4. I remember that.
It's pushing 30, am I right?
Literally,
he was. I believe he was 3 because I think he was 3.24 or 25. No, Morgan was the start of season 3, I think.
But Cerb was also the release god at Worlds, and Morgan was. So it was Morgan, Cerb, and then it was...
The wiki.
The community doesn't know what they're getting into.
When was Amma? Was it
no,
Amma, Morgan,
Amma was
Cerb?
the start of... Amma... Maybe Cerb was season 5. Maybe it was 4.25
I remember Cerb because the map was new as well. I played that.
Because Amma came...
Or R3.6.
Because Amma came out with the new Joust map at that time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I do remember Morgan at Worlds, and me thinking before I got to hear that she could turn into another god. I'm like, so what if she turned into a Morgan, and then that Morgan turned into another Morgan? It's just this constant conga line of Morgans.
Oops.
Launch was...
I got my question. I'm ready.
Yeah,
Cerb was last of season 4. We got confirmation.
He's ready. You said you're ready.
Are there any other open domain mythoses that have been considered to pull from, similar to Cthulhu or King Arthur?
I don't know, honestly. It's kind of when we decide the gods, it's kind of there's a short list that's already kind of there when I get to it, just because I'm kind of the more junior designer of the group, comparatively, even though I've done this job for almost 4 years now, which is kind of crazy. the list comes to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I don't really know. Personally, I think it'd be cool to do just a variety of like more of the like, what's the word? Like, I think the mythos in Babylonia is really cool. So more of that, kind of exploring that realm.
Yeah.
Me personally, this is not a confirmation. This as a fan, I just want to put that caveat out there because I know people are gonna run with it. I really want to do Enkidu so bad because I think that would be a really nice little like pairing to have Gilgamesh and Enkidu. I think
and you're like a Fate nerd too, so
I don't watch Fate at all.
Are you not a Fate nerd? Is that true?
I've never seen Fate.
Why do I associate you so much with Fate?
I don't know.
That was said with such confidence.
I was
too,
so certain of it. That's crazy. I will speak as a dev. Shakespeare.
I thought you were.
And Sherlock Holmes.
You said that. I literally was just like, what recently went into like public domain? And the only like the most recent that I think we would ever.
Steamboat Willie.
I was gonna say Winnie the Pooh.
Steamboat Willie.
And Winnie,
like all the characters from Winnie the Pooh.
Next Joust map's actually on the 1,000 Acre Woods. So
nice.
All the spoilers coming from If today.
Yeah, and it's in his contract. Like, he legally can't lie on camera.
Is that true?
I have no idea.
I would like to strike the last minute from the record.
He'd like to strike the last 2 hours from the record. Just anything in the event that it's been on broadcast, acknowledge it all with a grain of salt. J-Mac, you've had plenty of time to think.
I don't think I have any other questions right now. I think I asked pretty much the majority of what I would have asked during the show.
Okay.
So that's it. That's it. I got nothing else.
J-Mac, never change, man. I love you so much.
I don't plan on it.
And you know what, chat?
I already asked my questions, Gore.
No, that's to say I don't have anything else because I think I got all the other questions out earlier.
He's found the knowledge that he was seeking.
Chat encouraged me to get my questions out earlier, so I did.
And they were adamant about it. One of them was a highlighted message. The other one came from a mod. So it was peak J-Mac time. I'm going to save myself. Hey, guess what? It's J-Mac time. It's time to get out of here is what we're going to do. So thanks for hanging around, chat, and thanks for talking to us and chatting with devs and picking at Lermy's brain and figuring out how a lot of this stuff happens and changes, and also all of the goofy things that happened in between while we were waiting for other questions. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everybody for joining me here at this table, and we'll see you the next time we have a Dev Insight.
Peach it.